Okay, got any idea? So let's see class identity first. Let's again take the locator. Yeah, there is difference between the information what we have written here and the information what it is giving. I don't know how we have written this. Probably we have spied on wrong place. Okay, this is the actual information. So what do you want to write with this XPath or CSS? It's up to you. So in all our coming sessions, I dealt with XPath only. So let me write with CSS this time. Okay, I need to first identify this element, right? Okay, so slash input, no at the rates, because this is an, see that whenever you are writing the background is red here, that means still the information is wrong, but once completed it will turn to white, that means it's true, it's getting highlighted. This time it should click. We'll run and see now. Salesforce is getting open. See that it clicked user ID password and it clicked on login button. As we gave some random information, it says our login attempt is failed. Cool. So this is how you can use CSS. Okay, and also in this session you have learned that there is one tricky part, cross checking before you write in the code. Okay, cross check your component in Firebug and make sure it is working, then come back and write it on the Eclipse. So that will really help down our time if you are trying to fail something. And one more thing is, in CSS till now we have used our customized CSS, but if you observe here there is something called slash login. Got it? So you can write in this way also. Driver dot, if you know the ID of the particular element what you are looking for, slash and that ID will also serve. This is also true. So we have written till now or customized CSS saying tag name attribute value. If you don't want to write everything, all the stuff, if you want to make it simple and straightforward, slash ID also works. If there is ID for this button, write down that ID here, copy the ID, write it here, and before that ID just put a slash. That's it. CSS will identify and it will click on it. See that now the slash login, it is in white background, that means it is identifying. Okay, and now if it is a class name, if you want to identify something with a class name, then give a dot and see, this is the class name, right? Okay. Whenever there is a space in CSS, please remember that. So people always confuse here. Whenever you are writing a class here, okay, if you put a dot before the class, and CSS will understand and identifies the element. If it is an ID, put a hash. That is one simple way of writing locator technique. Okay, just don't confuse with the previous one and this. Previous one is our customized CSS what we are doing, and try to make it as a habit. Okay, I am also saying a shortcuts. Slash ID also works, dot class name also works. Okay, now I am here, right? This is the class name and I'm giving a dot before it. So one thing you need to remember here is, for especially class names, if there is a space between the class names, remove the space and write as a dot, replace the space with a dot. Here there is a space, replace a space with a dot. Okay, now click on enter. See that it identified. So this is the way. And if you see here, there are multiple classes selected, 1 and 2, 3, totally 3 classes identified. That means with this class name, there are totally 3 elements in this web page. Okay, if you provide this information to our scripting and run, automatically the first one what it web page identifies will click. Now username is the same, username have same class name, password have same class name. If you see, click on username, input, identity input is the class name, right? Click on password, input, identity input. So developer have written same class name for both sessions. And if you are looking for password automating, if you give this class name, definitely script will fail, because whenever Selenium is trying to find out this class name, first it will find this username and defaultly it will assume that this is the component which it was looking for and it enters there. So that's the reason whenever you are identifying some element, use a logical way. Try to find out the unique way to identify that web element. Okay, you have ID here, class here, type here. You can use any attribute to identify password location, but make sure with a smart sense, make sure which makes the password field unique. Try to analyze. So you can clearly say it as ID, because definitely developer cannot give password as a ID for username, right? If you go and click here, he have given it as username. ID is nothing but, most of the cases ID will be unique. It's an, underline it, in most of the cases in web application ID will be unique. ID is nothing but just like a name, a unique ID given to a person, like your employee ID, like that. So if you feel that ID is a unique, use that attribute to form your location strategy. Okay, /ID. If you feel a class name, then you can give that. So as I told you, if you want to do with a shortcut, /ID name will also work, or dot class name also works. /ID or dot class, you can use anything. Okay, so what are your take-ins from this session? Step number 1, from the last 3 sessions, what are your take-ins? Number 1 is verify in Firebug before you run the script, right? I just discussed now. If it is an clearly, I write your XPath here or CSS here, click on enter and make sure the blue line is highlighted, and whenever you move your mouse here, the browser, that particular part should be highlighted. If it is there, then only you write it in your code. So rather than, it will really save your time rather than running it and then realizing that there is some mistake. That, so this is first thing. Second thing, we have learned CSS customized syntax. It's just like XPath, but a lightweight syntax. So why we need to go CSS? Because CSS is 10 times faster than XPath, but generally people go with XPath. So third one, you can also identify CSS elements using shortcuts like /ID name or dot class name, right? And fourth one, try to analyze your component attributes and pick up the unique attribute which will serve your purpose. So I just told you an example. I took class as an attribute which gave me totally two elements, right? So that's not a good strategy. So try to find out the unique attribute which will directly find your web element. Find the unique attribute. Cool. So keep these strategies in mind before you start coding. Write something, verify, and then follow. Use CSS or XPath. Go with the customized way, the way I told you. Write it and make sure the thing what you have written is the unique attribute. Then definitely your script will never fail and it will run in the first attempt. So keep it on these 4 points, man, and rock on. Okay, so that's about the session. In next session we will start some new concepts and we'll learn those. Yeah, happy testing.